Hey everybody, Mullet here. Back with another story. Got a story about a boy from my neighborhood today. Me and him knew each other a long time. His name was Zach, but he couldn't pronounce Z's, and he always referred to himself in the third person. So he would refer to himself as Knack. That he couldn't pronounce that Z, so he would just say Knack. He would say, "Knack's here. What's Knack gonna do today?" And he would just refer to everything in the third person. But he was a cool kid, man. Like I said, we grew up with him. He was real tall. He was like 6'6", man, and uh, yeah, he could dunk on people playing basketball easily, dude. Him and his brother both. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about when Nat got him a car stereo system, and he came over to my house and wanted me to come check it out. And not really a long story, but maybe you'll find it interesting. I remember it, and it still gives me a little giggle to this day. But anyway, he always loved the bass music. I mean, we grew up in the '90s, like this is back in '94, '95, somewhere around in that area, and the Miami bass sound, the bass competitions, and all that was like really big back then. All the bass tracks like DJ Magic Mike, Feel the Bass, and any of y'all from back in that time, y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all, maybe these youngsters don't, but y'all know who I'm talking about. What era of music that was. Anyway, Knack, he was into this stuff, man. He loved it, man. He had all the Miami bass sound videos and soundtracks and whatnot. Every time he go over his house, man, he'd be hooked up another speaker to his radio and his stereo in his house. He had like a wall of big box 12s, 10s, 8s, whatever, just stacked in a wall. Looked like a concert. And he had it hooked up on surround sound, man. And you could like hear his surround sound. He'd be watching a movie like uh, Godzilla or something. Like, yeah, you'd hear Godzilla growl from about a quarter mile down the road. Crazy. But yeah. So he turned 16 and he got him a car, and he had called me up, and he said, "Hey, he's like, Nat got a new stereo." I was like, "Did he? That's pretty cool." He's like, "Yeah, he did, man. He got a new stereo system." He's like, Knack is about to come over to your house and show it to you." So I'm like, "Cool, man. Cool, man. Come on, Knack." We parted ways. He lived not, just right around the corner, and maybe about 4 or 5 miles. But anyway, about 15 minutes later, he pulls up, comes, knocks on the door. He's like, "Hey, man, come out here and check out Knack's stereo, man." And he's like, "Knack got a stereo in his car. Knack wants you to listen to it." So I'm like, "All right, cool, cool. Say less. Let's go do this." So we go out to his car, man, and we get out in there, and he reaches over and he hits the power button on the radio. But I look at the radio, and the radio's cardboard, and there is like no lights, and there's nothing. He's got like a radio station written on the outside of the cardboard, and then like tops to a milk jug has his two knobs for tuning and volume. And I'm like, I didn't want to say nothing because he seemed really happy about all this, and I'm like, "Okay, Knack, you can play it whenever you want to." So he he hits the power button, which is just a circle drawn on the dang radio, and he turns it wide open, but the knob is glued on and won't turn. But he said it's all the way up and hands me earplugs. He says these are competition speakers. He raises a panel up in the back seat, and lo and behold, he has two giant pieces of construction paper with speakers drew on them, and an amp drew on the same piece of paper. He reaches back and turns the amp on and says, "Get ready." And about that time, I'm looking at him and like, what's fixing to happen? And all of a sudden, Knack becomes the speaker. I look over at him and he is going. And he started to lay out this whole beat using his mouth. And the longer he went, the beat actually got pretty cool. So I started freestyling to it. I was like, "Dang, man, this really ain't too bad, Knack. You know what I mean? I dig this, man. I dig what you got going on, Knack. Heck yeah, man." And Knack turns to me, and at that moment, I knew me and him would be friends forever. He's got a special place in my heart. As Knack looks over at me, and once again, he goes. Anyway, good. I just wanted to lay one out there tonight for y'all folks. Please, if you haven't, please maybe like and subscribe and share the video. You know, it'll help me out tremendously. If you like the content, if not, I'm still new, still working things out. But yeah, that's gonna do it for tonight, guys. Thank you. Mull it out.